Hey, I'm Julia Gargano, and I'm hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
I think for a debut single, you kind of nailed it with a killer introduction of your music.
Thank you.
So, so talk to me a little bit about "You Don't Get To" and the reason behind wanting to choose this song as your proper
Intro
introduction
to
to your
the
music.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, well, I think for me and like what I love most about songwriting and hearing other people's music and what I just love about music in general is like really getting um kind of an inside scoop on like that artist and um little stories and little like timeline, little peeks into their life and just moments that were really special to them. And I kind of wanted to be super vulnerable with my first single, just be really honest and just kind of my main goal throughout this whole journey is just to get a bunch of people who can just relate to what I sing about and write about. So with You Don't Get To, I just picked a situation that, oh my gosh, I'm young. I'm turning 23 tomorrow, but like I was like 18 and in this toxic relationship, and I just thought about how many, girls, how many everybody, it doesn't matter what gender you are, but have just gotten their heart broken by someone that they just that almost just never deserved to break their heart. You know what I mean? And when people are just too kind and you just let people take advantage of you, and I kind of wanted to just write a an anthem for people to get excited about protecting themselves and their hearts. I know that sounds dramatic, but it's just so necessary nowadays because like anxiety is at an all-time high and people just love to please others, instead of just standing up for themselves. So that's what You Don't Get To is about.
You mentioned you wanted to get vulnerable with this first release, and I personally don't think like that's something that anybody just says, "Hey, I want to open up like about this to this new fan base, new audience, whatnot." So is that
Yeah.
something that like was kind of difficult for you to be okay with before you finally actually did it?
Um, Oddly enough, just I guess this music space and the writing space for me is somewhere where I'm not really afraid to do that, which is cool. Like, thank goodness, because, and also I think I just know the feeling of listening to a song that is super raw and honest. And I know how I get, like, how excited I get, when I listen to music like that and how much I connect to it. So I think naturally that's just what I want, that's naturally what I gravitate towards, but also what I want to be for people as well. So it was pretty easy in that sense, just to let it all out on the first single.
Talk to me about that collaboration you did with your co-writers Liam and Rosanna Brown. Like, first of all, how did you connect with them in the first place, and what kickstarted the writing process for this song in particular?
So one, it's so cool to talk about because they're Rosanna's from England and Liam's from Ireland and I'm from New York. So it's like it was literally
It's quite
it
the
was
mix.
yeah, it was a really interesting experience, unique experience. But I just had this idea and I guess I kept thinking about this situation with an ex-boyfriend of mine, and I was just I was like, oh, that's such a good idea for a song, you know what I mean? Finally being like, you just don't get to do any of this anymore, like you don't get to. And I went to them with this idea, and um it just like it was really just such an easy song to write. Like we all just felt so good about it, and I feel like everybody has put themselves in that situation before, so it was such a collaborative effort. And I've never really collaborated before this year, and now it is just my favorite way to write. I mean, there's nothing cooler than just getting to bounce ideas off of like two like other amazing writers. So it was such a cool experience, and yeah, we just freaking like we were all like, oh man, like that is how I felt that time, and that was the coolest part. Be like, oh, that is what I wish I could have said.
It's kind of cool that you mentioned Rosanna's from the UK and Liam is
Yes.
from Ireland and you're from here in the States. So like, did culture kind of play a role in that writing process? Like, did you find new ways of writing because of how they do it back home or because of how they learn back home?
I don't know. I mean, I think that's just like kind of what you just said goes for every new writing session because everybody has such a different way of or different things that they're good at, different strains. So that's the most exciting part about getting into a session with anyone, let alone those people, those guys who are incredible, is that everyone just has something else to bring to the table. It like that was sick. I mean that was definitely one of the coolest parts about this whole process. Hearing about just getting to like get a peek in. I've never been to any of those places, so it was kind of cool getting to like travel because you getting to be with all these people at once.
What kind of impact did having your co-writer also be a producer? Like, do you feel like that was crucial for this song in particular, just because of the matter that you were talking about? And how was Liam as a producer compared to how he was as a co-writer?
That was just another thing that came so easily. I actually like, normally you would either, pass, especially if you're writing with someone who produces, normally you would take that song and hand it off to another producer or something like that. And he really just got it. And I think he just saw how vulnerable the room got, you know what I mean? And we just like kept it in the circle because, with production, because we just all understood it better than anybody else could, at that point. So Liam killed it. And I do think it has to do with him just being in on all of the like heartbreak and all of the session goodness.
And I loved that the song, the arrangement of the song, the track is pretty simple with like the piano,
Yeah.
and more focused on your vocals and your ranges. I feel like if you would have changed that up, the song wouldn't be as powerful as it is. So, was this an idea that you guys already had in mind, having just focus on a piano and your voice, or was this something that you guys kind of tested during the recording process to kind of figure it out?
I mean, yeah, there's definitely a time and place to like explore, and I'm so excited to keep doing that. We have our second single picked out, like, and it's just sick. But with You Don't Get To, I really just wanted to keep a organic, kind of bare bones, vulnerable, just the song is in the story and the delivery, like I really wanted to try to push myself to just be, like bare in that sense. And again, it was just like it just kind of fell into place. We didn't just think it needed anything else, and it was yeah, I think that song needed something a little bit more stripped, and uh so again, I'm excited to like do go out of my comfort zone, and that's going to be exciting.
And I guess it's kind of like the same question as far as like the ranges that you hit throughout the song. Like, do you feel like those ranges just happened naturally as you were writing it because of the emotions and because of the topics you were talking about?
Yeah, actually, I when I'm in it's I'm much more I'm not as confident as a singer as I like. So I'll go in the writing session and just like write because, for the sake of the song, and then I'll try to sing it. I'll be like, "Oh crap. Like I can't even sing this. I can't even hit these notes." So it was actually it was a challenge in that sense because, you know, um I really did have to kind of push myself to get up there. I have a very low voice. It sounds like I'm like I don't even. It's very low. It's always been like this since I was like 3 years old. Crazy, but So yeah, we did just write it in this powerful register. But then I was like, oh my gosh, now I just have to do it. So yeah, it's definitely like it sits in an awesome place to show some impact and power.
Would you say that you had to learn how to sing these ranges? Maybe not necessarily like getting a vocal coach or training, but like, did you find yourself really trying to figure out how to kind of naturally hit them the way that you did on the song?
Yeah, because it would be totally like me to just like lower the song like three half steps or something to make it easier to sing. But then it's just a whole different song, and I really like had to learn that the hard way of like, okay, Julia, instead of just lowering the key again, like actually work towards singing it. And that's a cool little thing that I went through with this song too, just like actually going through the process of practicing it over and over again, which you don't have to do normally for every song because but this one was difficult to sing.
How different was it in the past for you to learn the covers that you did compared to now, like the music that you are creating yourself? And how do you feel like being able to do those covers in the past has impacted the way that you write your music today?
um well, I think that like the more you expand your music library and the more music you listen to, and I mean, I've always just been like such a music consumer on like a mass level, and I'd played at bars growing up, and I played the coffee shops, and I did all those cover gigs, wedding bands, like, so I was constantly, you know, learning learning a bunch of covers, and that not only helps your voice and just your musical knowledge overall and expanding stuff, and you're learning new chord progressions and you're doing things on the piano or with your voice that you would never normally do, but of course that carries over into the writing aspect because you learn all these new tricks and stuff that obviously totally can bring your songs to the next level or just give you more options. And that's what's important as a writer, is just to have a lot of things in your back pocket to, whip out accordingly.
Would you say the vocal ranges was the most challenging part of the song, or did you find something else that was challenging you, whether it was on the writing process or the recording process?
You know what? I think there was two challenging parts about You Don't Get To. One was deciding, like, for sure, like, you know what I mean? That was a hard process, just kind of like narrowing it down. Or I had a feeling about this one song, and then, but this song was really tugging my heartstrings, and then I was just like, you know what, this needs to be the one. I think choosing it, like that whole process of writing for the single, was interesting. And the second hardest part was actually kind of being scared that the person I wrote the song about was gonna hear it. If I'm being true, like I didn't care about anybody else. Like I didn't care about being vulnerable with anybody else. Except like, it's just like me to like be terrified of hurting people's feelings. So I was like, oh my God, like he's so gonna know. And he actually did know. But honestly, good. Good.
You got your point across. That's what matters at
That
the end
I
of the
know. Yeah,
day.
exactly. That's a whole I literally wrote that song to like hype myself up to like not be afraid. To let people know, and here I am like, hey
Trying
guys.
to hide it.
Ridiculous.
So moving forward, as far as like new material goes, do can fans expect more vulnerable songs from you, or are you like kind of testing the waters to see different styles of songwriting that you can do?
I mean, I'm such a sap. I'm a very emotional girl. So I think a lot of the songs I put out are going to be vulnerable, but I'm going to play with, tempo and production, and that is such
Mm.
an exciting thing to, like, it's just so exciting for me because I love that stuff. I love like just creating an atmosphere and a sound for the music. So definitely I would, expect more just like sad girl music, or I just love paying attention to little detail about things. So yeah, definitely more vulnerable music, but it'll be a little more groovy. Hopefully we'll give you some, we're not going to have you sleeping the whole time,
So
we
definitely
need a
more
dance
ranges as
break.
well, I assume.
Yes, we need a dance break here from the sadness. So
Yeah, like give us the sad song and then give us something to hype up again, and
exactly,
give us another sad song and
exactly. And I'll give it all.
amazing. Well, congratulations with the debut single, and thank you, Julia, for taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you. I really appreciate you for having me. This was great.